Hey everybody, John the Other here, obviously. And like many of you, I have been watching the unfolding of events following the election to Trump as President-elect of the U.S. I've been looking at the media. I've been looking at reports from lots of different sources, some of them mainstream, some of them alternative, about protests in U.S. cities, which look to me much more like riots than protests. And they've been ongoing for multiple days. Now, I mentioned this in a previous video, and a bunch of people challenged me and said, I've seen nothing about this. What are you talking about, John? And a friend of mine who is watching their media in the UK broached the topic with me and said, well, I'm really glad they're peaceful protests, but it doesn't look like peaceful protests to me. It looks like riots. It looks like cars being overturned, things lit on fire. And in Portland, which is a city relatively close to where I am, there have been shootings, killings. And of course, reading all these different news sources, it's becoming increasingly clear that, like the Hillary campaign was busing provocateurs to Trump rallies to incite violence and start physical altercations and hurt people, these protests are not a grassroots, response of the local citizenry because they're disappointed with the outcome. They are instigated by funded organizations from George Soros and the Hillary campaign. I mean, does anybody think I'm wearing a tinfoil hat yet? I mean, you look at the signage. The signage is, mass-produced signage. It's not handwritten. And there's lots of different media outlets, and I'll let you Google that yourself, which draw a connection between the funding organizations of George Soros and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and these protests, which I would more accurately describe as riots, which have been ongoing for multiple days. Where is Obama stepping forward to restore order in the United States? And if these riots are in response to the outcome of a democratic election, is this not an attempt to violently overturn a democracy? Now, I really don't like really inflammatory political labels. Like, I don't like to use the word terrorism, and I don't like to use the word war, but Hillary, one of the big concerns, people who were opposed to Hillary's election, was that there was quite a serious concern that an election of Hillary would result in war with Russia. And people called her a warmonger. She has been hawkish in much of her voting in her political career. Well, it seems now that what we have is a war on American soil. It's whether it's domestic or foreign controlled, what the media is not saying is that the United States appears to be in the early stages of a civil war. The real kind of war, not a culture war, not a war of ideas or a shouting war. The kind of war where things get lit on fire and burned and people get killed. Now, the other issue going on in the media is this rising tide of reporting of Hillary's win in the popular vote. She got more of the popular vote than Donald Trump did, apparently. Well, according to some sources. And as I have been reading, I've been seeing widely varying numbers of what the supposed weight of the popular vote that Hillary won. Some people say, or some of the websites are saying she won by a couple of 100,000 votes. Some of them are saying 500,000 votes. Some of them are saying over 1 million votes. The numbers are all over the map. Now, the mainstream media, the CNN and MSNBC and all the mainstream media channels during the election were overwhelmingly Hillary supporting, which I think is an abrogation of their responsibility as journalists, kind of wildly unethical, carrying water for Hillary and slamming Trump the whole way. All of the media did that quite dishonestly. During the election, a huge amount of the mainstream reporting on the actual night of the election, after it was well past the point where they should have said, okay, this is over, Trump has won it, when just mathematically he won it. They were still talking about it as if Hillary was winning, as if Hillary could win, as if it was still somehow in doubt, refusing to acknowledge. So I don't trust what I'm being told anymore. I don't know, and I don't trust it in both directions, by the way. I'm not untrusting in only one direction. I don't know how much of this rioting, this violent upheaval, is just like a little bit of rioting going on that is being blown out of proportion? Or is there widespread rioting going on in multiple cities and on a very large scale? I can't tell because I don't trust anything the media says anymore because they have been so consistently fraudulent for so long. And I also don't trust these numbers, that she won by 200,000 in the popular vote, or 500,000, or over 1 million, or 2 million. Now, if there's rioting going on, as there appears to be, the degree of that is a matter of some speculation. But if there's rioting going on in rejection of the democratic outcome of the election, and the media is then talking about the win in the popular vote, that she won by some arbitrarily large number, isn't the media doing that reporting, doing it to inflame the rioting? Aren't they doing it to inflame people's anger? So the question is the United States right now in a state of actual civil war? Am I being alarmist? Am I being, too paranoid? The problem is, I don't trust any of the fucking media anymore. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, have a lovely day.